Say it again.
Are you a man who's watching this?
Where?
Over there. He might be the
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They hover around.
I was gonna say there are gonna be a lot of people watching this. Well, that's a different story. I'm just a little sensitive to those.
Oh, good for you. Yeah. Maybe if somebody's watching, they can comment. Watch me do this. Can you hear me? Yeah. It's so lame. I should just stop doing that. All righty. Welcome to all of you watching. Welcome to all of you here. As Sherry would say, how are you doing today? I'm guessing it's a range of emotions, and for some of you, just sheer exhaustion coupled with sorrow. I'm going to start with a poem, a writing by Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Buddhist monk, to help ground ourselves. Earth brings us into life and nourishes us. Earth takes us back again. Birth and death are present in every moment. We're here to celebrate Sherry, and mostly we're going to celebrate Sherry by reading some of the fabulous poetry she has written throughout her life and playing 3 songs that she loved. And as you feel comfortable and as you wish, reflecting on what her life and your friendship and familyship and connection to her has meant for you, and how in turn you pay that forward as Sherry would. At a certain point in the service, in this gathering service, we're going to have a moment where you can write down your thoughts. And those thoughts can be, as I'll say this again in a minute or two, as simple as something you want to say to Sherry that you did not get to say to Sherry. It can be a favorite memory of Sherry. It can be an intention that you have for the world coming through. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there. And for those of us who are gathered here, we're going to include those thoughts, those pieces of paper in Sherry's burial in the plot there. And if you're not here with us, you may honor those thoughts and your memories and your ideas and your words in whatever manner you think is appropriate and honoring of Sherry. As I said, we have a lot of poetry by Sherry, and Raymond is going to read the first one. As you're able, step to your last book. There you go.
I feel a funeral in the air, in sighs and lamentation. In harmonious realities once guided expectation. We say the dead have wandered, indistinct and yet not far. Forests fill with brambles, clouds get in our eyes, wishing, ever wishing for a peek through cloudless skies. Death brings pain again, again to people left behind.
I will die, and I'm not ready, say youth and age alike, for I shall miss the sunshine, and for me, it's just not right. Fountains promise everlasting life, and golden pavement calls shimmering, slaking oases, caves splashed by waterfalls. Money will not buy you time, nor beauty, wit, or charm, for death is no respecter of the chores you have left undone.
a while, and nothing died. The trees reached up to touch the sky, but their limbs were burdened in the fall by squirrels and leaves that didn't fall at all. Death held court with multitudes of undead, surly, often rude, and laughed. Forever is a funny thing, yet animated not, unless the beetles gnawing at you, inanimate is rot. Riots felled the tiny fiefdoms, each riff in time discordant, and grass that grew and grew and grew, pointy, sharp, and mordant. Death doesn't care. He doesn't not. We bide his time, though we forgot, displaced the days of sun and storm, and one day peaceful lie with worms. Life is for the breathing ones. When all but sighs are left, we're done.
So we are going to play the first of the 3 songs Sherry loved. And this is Take Me Back, O Hills I Love.
Take me back, O hills I love. Lift me from this lonely bed. Light my way with stars above. Curl soft winds about my head. Wash my feet in crystal streams. Cradle my arms in boughs of oak. Breathe the scent of pine for dreams. Wrap me tight in earthen cloak. Take me back, O hills I love. Lift me from this lonely bed. Light my way with stars above. Cool soft winds above my head. Touch my feet with stars above. Cradle my arms above my head. Light my way with stars of dreams. Grab my tight above my head. Take my sacrifice by strength. Wrap my tight in my path. Take my sacrifice of dreams. Wrap my tight above my head. Light my way with stars of dreams. Cradle my arms above my head. Light my way with stars of dreams. Grasp my tight above my head. Light my way with stars of dreams. Wrap my tight in earth I love. Breathe the saving breath of dreams. Cradle my tight in earth of love. Bring the silver light for dreams. Wrap me tight in earth.
Sherry loved the moon, felt a spiritual connection to the moon. So in this gathering, we're moving into what I call the moon phase. Sherry died on the full moon, Raymond? close to the full moon. Is that what I
Just
remember?
afterward.
Just after the full moon. And tomorrow is the new moon. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But first, Jessica is going to come up and offer one of Sherry's poems about the moon.
She flirted long that afternoon, languid, leisured, lady moon. As sun rained brightly, mesmerized, gay flowers turned to face the skies. The gloam rolled in, dark tidal waves came to the lady of the shade, bespeckled, starry, dusty skies. At once, most calm, I watched her rise.
So of the people here, I probably knew Sherry not nowhere near as well as most of you. And for all of you watching, I may have known her a little bit better. I may have known her a little less. If you knew Sherry, you knew that she was very direct in telling you what she thought. As a matter of fact, I'll confess, when I first met Sherry, I thought she was angry at me and mean because, and she wasn't. I've come to know that long ago. I learned that. But she would tell you what she thought, and you could agree with her or disagree with her, but she would not back down. And fairly often, as if most often, she was right. Most of you know, all of you here know, that Sherry was not afraid of death. And one of her legacies was hosting death cafes where people would freely talk about death and process death and become comfortable with death. So while her dying is unexpected and therefore very sad for us, and we are heartbroken, it's not the death part that bothers me, it's just the loss of Sherry. When she first joined Amazon, she would come in these really bright, wild colored clothes and sit there in the alto 2 section. And if we didn't have music and words that she could read, she'd let us know. And then, like a champion, she would just try to get along anyway until we were able to give her the stuff she needed. There are buildings all through Champaign County that have yellow stripes on the steps because of Sherry. She was a huge advocate for those who are not blessed with perfect sight or perfect hearing, perfect mobility, perfect mental functioning. She was a huge advocate for the rights of the disabled and would tell you what you and your church or your restaurant or your organization could do to help. And if you were smart, you would listen. Because again, she was right. As I said a few minutes ago, Sherry very much felt in sync with the moon and the phases of the moon. She felt a spiritual connection to the moon. And Raymond told me that she wrote a devotion on the full moon, based on the full moon, for every full moon. And it was as if that writing was sort of an offering or a sacrifice of her words to the moon and to the coming and going of life all around her. She also loved dandelions, which I did not know until last week. And I find that fun because I love dandelions, and I always feel like I'm one of the minority, and I am, who love dandelions because, let's face it, most people think we are weeds. But for me, I'm just going to speak for me right now, dandelions are among the first plants that bloom and thrive in the spring, and they feed the pollinators. the bees and the wasps and the crickets and the mantis and all the other fledgling bugs that are moving out of their larva stage and into adulthood. They're the first plants there for them. Then, when they bloom into flowers, they're gorgeous. I find a dandelion beautiful. And then the seeds, the dandelion puff that we all love to blow on and the seeds fly away. Such a cool way to propagate, to spread new life and new growth into the world. Many people think of the dandelion and connect the dandelion to the moon, as did Sherry. And when the moon is full, in that big, round, golden pale globe, very much like a dandelion puff. And when you blow on it, the moon didn't disappear. But as the moon would wax and wane, the light it gives, the hope it gives, remind us that even when you can't see it, the moon will come back. Even when you don't see the dandelions, you know they will grow. And even when you don't see the person who has died, for many of us, we believe that either through reincarnation or through the gift of new life and the birth of new ideas, we will see them again. I have found this to be true where I will be walking along. For now, it's going to be dandelions. When I see a dandelion, I'm going to think of Sherry. When I see the numbers on a clock, when they go 1, 2, 3, 4, I think of my father, who just loved it when the digital clock would go 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're never gone. They remind you, like those seeds that sprout and come back when you don't expect it, where you don't expect it. They'll be there. And so I'm going to invite you, if you want, we're going to have a poem and then another song. And if you want to write your thoughts about Sherry, how she has influenced you, what kind of final thing you would like to say to her, what are some of the seeds that she has planted in you that you hope to nourish. And again, tomorrow, like I said, is the new moon. And those who follow the moon in a spiritual sense, the new moon is an opportunity to create new intentions and new projects, new plans, new opportunities, new ways of thinking. So in your writings, if you don't feel like there are words you want to say to Sherry, maybe there's a new intention that you can write down as a seed, like she would write a seed of hope to you. One of the things I love about Sherry too is on her Facebook page, she would post fabulous stuff, but sometimes she would just, gripe, and she would say, "This happened today," and blah 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 blah, and she would vent, and then she would say, "So, how was your day?" And she meant it. She wasn't just saying, "Okay, now that I've griped, I guess I should ask you about your day." She sincerely meant it. And what was really fun is people would answer her in the comments, "Well, this is how my day went," and she would respond to them, and they would have more conversations. And I loved that. And to me, again, that's like the dandelion seeds. She stated her thing and then asked about everybody else. "How are you doing? What is your day? What is happening for you today?" And then she would engage with that. And I admire that because so often we just we complain about our stuff and then we stay inside admired and forget to look at what other people are going through. Sherry reminds us to think about everybody else. Let your light shine, moon and the sun, and let your seeds spread. And don't forget to ask, "How are you doing today?" Oh, dandelion in the sky, shine brightly on me by and by. Radiant eye, warm the earth. Flowers do grow well with mirth. Clouds will pass and rain will fall. I trust you reign behind it all. Oh, dandelion, as you age, unleash merry notes, like music notes in gray. They'll shake your head. Weep and died praising you. O dandelion in the sky, like glorious sunbirds in cinders, you burst in rivulets of gold. O dandelion, seed the universe, for wasn't that foretold? Not a whimper, not a spark remains, reflects upon the lady in the dark. This next song is When I Go by Dave Carter and Tracy Grammer.
Come, lonely hunter, chieftain and king, I will fly like the falcon when I go. Bear me, my brother, under your wing. I will strike, fell like lightning when I go. I will bellow like the thunder drum, invoke the storm of war. A twisting pillar spun of dust and blood up from the prairie floor. I will sweep the foe before me like a gale out on the snow, and the wind will long recount the story, reverence and glory when I go. String spirit dancer, nimble and thin, I will leap like coyote when I go. Tireless entrancer, lend me your skin, I will run like the gray wolf when I go. I will climb the rise at daybreak, I will kiss the sky at noon, raise my yearning voice at midnight to my mother in the moon. I will make the lay of long defeat and draw the chorus slow. I'll send this message down the wire and hope that someone wise is listening when I go. And when the sun comes trumpets from his red house in the east, he will find a standing stone where long I chanted my release. He will send his morning messenger to strike the hammer blow, and I will crumble down uncountable in showers of crimson rubies when I go. Sigh, mournful sister, whisper and turn. I will rattle like dry leaves when I go. Stand in the mist where my fire used to burn. I will camp on the night breeze when I go. And should you glimpse my wandering form out on the borderline between death and resurrection and the council of the pines, do not worry for my comfort, do not sorrow for me so. All your diamond tears will rise up in the door in the sky beside me when I go.
Many years ago, I want to say, I don't remember how long, 8 or 10 years ago. I'm looking at Jessica because I don't know if she was in Amazon then. Were you there when we sang Danse Girl? Yeah, we sang a Norwegian song that the English title was Dance into the Grave. And the meaning was life is a dance and death is a dance. Carry on the dance. That's where we head now. From Emily Dickinson, she sweeps with many colored brooms. She sweeps with many colored brooms and leaves the shreds behind. O housewife in the evening west, come back and dust the pond. You dropped a purple raveling in, you dropped an amber thread, and how you've littered all the east with duds of emerald. And still she plies her spotted brooms, and still the aprons fly, till brooms fade softly into stars, and then I come away.
Waves roil and crash, winds blow insane. No two storms are quite the same. Some require rowers, some require sails. Falling from the deck or washed away, we flail. Sentient storms require sacrifice or death. An inner smaller wind can still lose breath. Water always wins, it said. We are mostly water, often dread. Returning to that place we don't recall. Darkness casts a weary pall. Plagued in knowing each of us will die, comforted and folded into the arms of death. Most do not fear death as much as the road that takes us through to nothingness or somewhere new. Live well, live kind and brave on your journey to the grave.
The last song that we have from Sherry's song list is Dance in the Graveyards by Delta Ray.
I wanna rest in peace. I wanna dance in joy. I wanna dance in the graveyards, and while I'm alive, I wanna be alone. Wanting the ones who came before. I wanna dance with them some more. Let's dance in the graveyards. Gloria, like some other name, we kept on calling you. And waiting for change, I belong to all of your mysteries. All of us meant for the fire, but we keep rising up and walking the wires when we go below. To lose us in morning. I wanna rest in peace. I wanna dance in joy. I wanna dance in the graveyards, and while I'm alive, I don't wanna be alone. Wanting the ones who came before. I wanna dance with them some more. Let's dance in the graveyards. Let's dance in the graveyards. Oh my love, don't cry when I'm gone. I will lift you up, air in your lungs, and when you reach for me, dance in the darkness. They will carry on. We will stand aside, breathing in you. I wanna rest in peace. I wanna dance in joy. I wanna dance in the graveyards, and while I'm alive, I don't wanna be alone. Wanted the ones who came before. I wanna dance with now some more. Let's dance in the graveyards. Whoa, let's dance in the graveyards.
Commendation in my faith tradition really just means giving back. And it can be giving back to God if you believe in God. It can be giving back to the earth if you believe in inhabiting the earth. It can be giving back to be reincarnated anew. A giving back. And we give Sherry back. Freeman said he sent me a little piece of a pagan funeral service. Sherry was a believer in reincarnation. She would believe that the soul would go to the summer land, a place of rest and renewal. The soul would be reborn and return to earth at the right time and place where she loved, so that they may lead to those that she loved, so they may meet again in a different life. From that tradition, our sister, Sherry Gilles, returned to the realm of the mother, the moon, to that land of summer where there is joy and rest. And from Sherry, we are stardust, fall into earth, and after death, we become stardust again, eventually. When you look into the sky, you will see the moon, which I regard as my mother, and so many people, and to so many people who have turned to stardust already. It's a good place. Thank you, Sherry. And thank all of you for being here today. I believe at this time, this part of the ritual for the day is done. And we're going to move to Sherry's grave, where those of us present can put in our tie-dye colored words for her. Thank you all for coming and attending.